Pixel art is already amazing on its own, but when you mix it with medieval fantasy, it becomes something truly special. So today, I'm bringing you 12 medieval-style pixel art games you definitely need to play or revisit. Vagante throws you into a deep, dangerous cave where every step feels like a gamble, and every victory depends on how well you adapt. You pick a class, warrior, mage, or rogue, and drop into dark, oppressive levels that change every time you play. The game teaches the basics quickly, but once the first death hits, the real learning begins. Traps hide in the shadows, enemies explode out of nowhere, and even potions can betray you since nothing is labeled, and effects are completely unpredictable. Each floor is split into stages, and moving forward can be as simple as finding the exit, unless you want to grow stronger. Mini-bosses guard skill points, keys, and rare loot, so deciding between rushing ahead or risking a fight becomes part of the tension. These encounters can completely shift your run, offering new weapons, magic books, or armor that can turn a weak start into a powerful build. Loot is fully random, meaning a mage can suddenly become a sword-swinging tank if the right items drop. Death is permanent, and losing everything is normal here, but every run fills an experience bar that unlocks new abilities, perks, and even additional classes, making each failure feel like progress instead of punishment. Playing solo turns the atmosphere into something lonely and claustrophobic, with limited visibilities and constant danger, while co-op with friends eases the frustration and opens new strategies that make the chaos more manageable. Vagante doesn't hold your hand, doesn't explain much, and doesn't care if you're ready. But for players who enjoy unraveling systems, mastering patterns, and pushing through relentless difficulty, it offers a rewarding, challenging, and endlessly replayable adventure hidden behind its brutal surface. Songs of Conquest blends classic turn-based strategy with kingdom management and RPG elements, creating a deep yet accessible experience, inspired by the best parts of Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Set in a world divided between 4 powerful factions, Arlian, Rana, Loth, and Barya, every match becomes a struggle for territory, resources, and magical dominance. You command wielders, leaders who channel essence from their troops to cast powerful spells, adding a unique tactical layer to each encounter. Exploration unfolds on large hex-based maps filled with resources, gear, neutral enemies, and structures that provide valuable boosts. Movement is limited each turn, so routing your wielder carefully matters as much as building armies or expanding your economy. When battles begin, the game shifts to a compact tactical grid where elevation, positioning, and spell timing can completely change the outcome. Splitting units into multiple battalions also increases magical income, opening space for stronger spell combinations in tougher fights. Town management plays a major role too. You develop settlements, unlock new buildings, improve unit tiers, and adapt your strategy as new threats emerge. Rival wielders roam the map, capturing mines, recruiting troops, and pressuring you into smarter decisions as the conflict escalates. Songs of Conquest stands out through its strong strategic depth, beautiful pixel art presentation, and dense atmosphere. With multiple story campaigns, competitive multiplayer, community-made maps, and a wide variety of units and spells, it delivers a complete and highly engaging fantasy strategy experience for anyone who loves tactical combat and kingdom building. Kingdom Two Crowns drops you into a ruined island as a lone monarch trying to rebuild a broken kingdom while surviving constant greed attacks. With only a torch and a handful of coins, you recruit wanderers, turn them into archers or builders, expand your land, raise defenses, and slowly shape a kingdom that feels alive. Everything relies on simple coin-based actions, yet the consequences deepen as nights grow harsher and enemy waves become more aggressive. Exploration is calm, but filled with tension. Each island hides mounts, relics, and hidden structures that can completely shift your run, but the game explains almost nothing. Most discoveries come through experimentation, failure, and patience. Seasons also matter. Winter removes animals, stops income, and forces you to survive using what you saved. Keeping a banker, storing coins, and preparing your walls early becomes essential if you want your kingdom to last. The peaceful cycle of day and night ends when a blood moon rises, The sky turns red, and the greed attack in overwhelming numbers, destroying walls, stealing tools, and even taking your crown. Lose it, and your rule collapses, though another monarch can rise and continue the struggle with whatever remains. The Deadlands update expands the formula with blood-stained characters, each offering unique abilities that change how you defend and explore. New mounts, added map details, and hero swapping deepen the strategy without breaking the minimalist core of the series. Kingdom 2 Crowns stands out for its blend of mystery, atmospheres, and strategic simplicity. It rarely explains what to do, but learning through failure and watching your kingdom survive another night is exactly what makes the experience so immersive. Infernax follows Alceder, a battle-worn duke returning home after years of crusades, only to find his land corrupted by a forbidden tome and crawling with grotesque demons. As someone in my mid-30s who grew up playing platformers of every kind, this game instantly hit that nostalgic spark, not just for its retro look, but for the style of action and exploration I've loved for decades. Armed with a worn mace and shield, Alceder travels through cursed villages, ruined fortresses, and eerie wilderness, hunting down 5 ancient demons whose power seals the path to the source of the corruption. Villagers offer quests, shops provide upgrades, and shrines let you invest points into strength, health, or magic while saving your progress. Spells and abilities unlock new areas, creating that loop of exploring deeper, growing stronger, and returning to places once unreachable. The violence is surprisingly intense for a pixel art game. Enemies explode, bosses twist into disturbing shapes, and Alceder's death animations are gruesomely creative. Playing on classic difficulty feels like the intended experience. Tough at first, but rewarding once upgrades stack, echoing that old-school sense of challenge. Choices also shape the journey. Throughout the campaign, moral decisions open or close paths, change quests, and lead to multiple endings. Some options even lock you out of areas until a future run, making replaying the game feel natural and worthwhile. With its brutal combat, tight platforming, clever references, and constant discoveries, Infernax stands out as a visceral and entertaining indie gem. Perfect for players who grew up with these games and still crave that mix of challenge and nostalgia. Kynseed is a life sim RPG created by former Lionhead developers, and that pedigree shows right away. You begin as a child adopted by Old Bill, learning the rhythms of farm life while slowly uncovering the charm and mysteries of this vast pixel art world. The game lets you grow however you want. Farming, crafting, gathering, cooking, mining, fishing, exploring, or eventually building your own family line. The early hours are slow and methodical, teaching each system day by day, but the world quickly becomes captivating. Villages, forests, caves, and fields are beautifully drawn, with warm colors and inviting details in every corner. The calm, comforting soundtrack strengthens that cozy atmosphere, making even simple chores feel peaceful instead of tedious. The world is filled with a large cast of characters following their own habits, schedules, and moods. Spending time with them, helping with their tasks, or offering the right items gradually builds trust and affection, shaping friendships, bonds, and even potential romances. Kynseed follows your character through an entire life, and the sheer amount of content makes every playthrough feel different. Daily tasks unfold through intuitive controls and a clean radial menu that makes swapping tools and navigating inventory effortless. Still, the early game leans on many repetitive side quests, and the lack of Portuguese localization can be a barrier, since the writing and world building rely heavily on text. Even with these rough edges, Kynseed stands out as a cozy, richly crafted simulator full of personality. Its atmosphere, layered mechanics, and meaningful choices make it a rewarding adventure worth revisiting, and an easy recommendation for anyone who loves farming games with heart and depth. Yes, Your Grace is a kingdom management adventure built entirely around choices, consequences, and the weight of ruling. You play as Eric, the troubled king of Davern, trying to protect his family while facing political pressure and the threat of the Rodovians. Each day, petitioners arrive with their problems. Starving farmers, ruined landowners, ambitious traders, shady figures, and even drunks asking for coin. You decide who to help, who to refuse, and which risks are worth taking. Every decision shifts the story in unexpected ways. Your kingdom depends on 4 pillars: supplies, gold, the army, and public happiness. Supplies feed the people, gold funds construction and military plans. Your army is essential for survival, and happiness keeps the realm stable. Balancing these resources becomes the core challenge. You can't satisfy everyone, and helping one group often harms another. But every choice truly matters. Alliances, losses, conflicts, and even the fate of your daughters can change based on your actions. The writing is the heart of the game. It's emotional, dramatic, and often surprisingly funny, blending tense political moments with small comic exchanges that bring the world to life. Fans of Game of Thrones will recognize the unpredictable tone. The pixel art is simple but effective, especially on PC, with clear visuals that highlight interactable objects. The Polish-inspired soundtrack reinforces the medieval atmosphere, shifting between melancholic themes and lighter melodies depending on the moment. Yes, Your Grace is short, heartfelt, and filled with impactful choices. A kingdom management tale that lingers long after the throne room grows quiet. INMOST is a dark and atmospheric puzzle platformer, following 3 characters whose stories slowly intertwine: a little girl trapped in a strange house, a warrior serving a sinister force, and a man exploring the ruins around a looming castle. Each perspective brings a distinct style: quiet exploration with the girl, fast combat with the warrior, and more elaborate puzzle platforming with the man. Switching between them keeps the pacing tense and unpredictable. The man's segments shine for their clever environmental challenges, though some solutions are obscure and rely on trial and error. Controls can feel unresponsive, making instant death traps more frustrating than intended. The girl's chapters are slower but emotionally strong, focused on mood and subtle interactions. The warrior sections, despite striking visuals, are the simplest and mostly rely on basic attacks and movement. What elevates INMOST is its atmosphere. The low-resolution pixel art, limited color palette, and dynamic lighting build a world that feels bleak, lonely, and hauntingly beautiful. A piano-driven soundtrack reinforces themes of melancholy, danger, and quiet despair. Close escapes, shadowy creatures, and emotional scenes give each storyline weight. The narrative is intentionally cryptic, revealing meaning piece by piece. Only near the end do the threads connect, and even then, much remains open to interpretation. Despite some heavy-handed moments, the overall mystery remains compelling. Even with uneven mechanics, INMOST succeeds through mood, storytelling, and striking presentation. It's a brief but memorable journey, unsettling, sorrowful, and beautifully crafted in every shadowed corner. Arietta of Spirits is a warm, sentimental pixel art adventure that blends light action, simple RPG elements, and a surprisingly emotional story. It follows Ari, a 13-year-old visiting her late grandmother's cabin for the first time in a year. Things take an unexpected turn when she meets Arco, a small blue spirit who reveals she is an Elo, someone able to see wandering souls who haven't fully crossed into the spirit realm. The story becomes even more touching when Ari discovers her grandmother's spirit is still on the island, trapped after failing to complete one last task. This emotional moment sets the tone for a cozy journey filled with small mysteries, shadowy creatures called wanderers, and encounters with spirits who need help finding peace. Gameplay is simple and smooth, using top-down exploration with quick dodges, light sword attacks, and a magical shield granted by Arco. Quests revolve around light puzzles and fast-paced battles that mix dodging and striking. Even without deep progression, everything feels responsive and pleasantly paced. The pixel art brings the island to life, from the grandmother's charming cabin to colorful forests and detailed caves. The narrative handles themes of loss, memory, and acceptance with gentle sensitivity, often highlighting emotional moments between Ari and her family. Arietta of Spirits is short and intentionally casual, offering a journey you can finish in just a few hours. But its atmosphere, heartwarming tone, and nostalgic charm make it easy to fall into. And with the game currently costing only $3 on Steam, it's an even easier recommendation. Flynn, Son of Crimson, is a 2D action platformer inspired by the 16-bit era, featuring sharp pixel art and fast, responsive gameplay. Its greatest strength is variety. Almost every stage introduces a new idea, keeping the adventure tight, fun, and constantly refreshing. Flynn lives on the peaceful island of Rosantica with Dex, a giant guardian wolf. When a dark intruder attacks her and releases creatures from another dimension, Flynn awakens the Crimson Power, heritage of a goddess, and sets out to restore Dex's energy and drive back the threat. Stages mix platforming with light combat, each containing secrets and alternate routes. Flynn can form a crimson sword, fire projectiles, and switch instantly between a heavy axe and quick claws. Elemental spells expand interactions. Ice freezes foes or platforms, lightning chains between enemies, and fire lights dark areas or burns obstacles. Upgrades unlock stronger hits, extra health, and enhanced spells. Controls are smooth and forgiving, with quick restarts that reduce frustration. The game's GBA-like pixel art stands out, bringing life to snowy peaks, shadowy fortresses, forests, and toxic wastelands, all with expressive animations. Creativity drives the experience. Climbing sections, small puzzles, underwater areas guided by enemy light, and even high-speed runs riding Dex. Not every stage hits perfectly, some run a bit long, and combat rarely demands deep strategy, but the pacing stays enjoyable. In the end, Flynn, Son of Crimson delivers a charming, well-crafted platformer, full of personality and clever ideas, perfect for a short yet satisfying adventure. Dungeons of Dredmor is a humor-filled, turn-based roguelike that mixes classic dungeon crawling with a sarcastic, chaotic tone all its own. At first glance, it looks simple with its retro pixel style, but once you step inside the dungeon, you quickly realize how deep and how brutally punishing the game can be. You play as a lone adventurer thrown into the sprawling, randomized halls beneath the land, where traps, monsters, and bizarre magical disasters wait around every corner. Right at the start, you choose from dozens of skill trees, building anything from a vampire alchemist to a dual-wielding were-wizard or a warrior who fights using rogue tax law loopholes. The builds are absurd, but that's exactly what makes the game shine. Every move is turn-based, with careful positioning and resource management determining whether you survive or end up as another skeleton on the floor. Looting rooms feels rewarding thanks to the endless combinations of weapons, artifacts, potions, and spellbooks that drastically change the way you play. But the deeper you go, the more the dungeon stops being funny. Traps become cruel, monsters hit harder, and your poor adventurer starts looking very mortal. Still, the humor never fades. The game constantly mocks your failures, throws jokes in item descriptions, and fills the world with silly enemies like evil diggles, which look harmless until they swarm you. Dungeons of Dredmor is challenging, chaotic, and strangely addictive. It embraces old-school roguelike design, but wraps it in charm, personality, and constant surprises. If you enjoy games where experimentation, strange builds, and hilarious deaths are all part of the fun, this dungeon is absolutely worth diving into. Hammerwatch Anniversary Edition brings you back to the dark halls of Castle Hammerwatch, inviting you to descend once again into its twisted dungeons. The kingdom of Harion has fallen into chaos. King Roland has been overthrown by Blight the Horrible and his army of dragons, leaving the traitorous Lord Archibald as nothing more than a puppet on the throne. With evil spreading through every corner of the realm, the call for heroes has never been louder. You can choose from 7 unique hero classes, each offering distinct abilities and playstyles, from swift melee fighters to powerful spellcasters and ranged specialists. Whether you brave the dungeon alone or fight alongside noble allies, the game supports both local and online co-op, making every run a shared adventure filled with danger and discovery. The Anniversary Edition beautifully remasters the 2013 classic in celebration of its 10th anniversary. It features updated visuals, redesigned character classes with fresh effects, a revamped item system, and countless quality-of-life upgrades that make the experience smoother without losing the charm of the original. In addition to the iconic Castle Hammerwatch and Sun Temple campaigns, this edition introduces an all-new adventure, Shaftlock Tower, a fresh journey packed with new threats and challenges. You can also dive into 3 full campaigns, or craft your own custom scenarios if you want a completely personalized dungeon crawling experience. With its refined art, expanded content, and modern improvements, Hammerwatch Anniversary Edition brings new life to a beloved action adventure. delivering a rich and rewarding dungeon crawl for both newcomers and longtime fans. Death's Gambit Afterlife is a Souls-like Metroidvania that hooked me the moment I started playing. Performance is excellent. On PC, the game runs smoothly with no major bugs, aside from an occasional missing voice line that never affects the experience. Gameplay leans strongly into the Souls-like side. Leveling attributes with essence feels rewarding and keeps progress steady, turning repeated deaths into part of the learning curve rather than pure frustration. Classes are fun and distinct, each with its own skill tree, but the biggest flaw is weapon variety. Most classes only have a couple of usable weapons, which forces you to stick with your starting gear for most of the game. It limits experimentation and makes exploration rewards feel repetitive. Combat, however, is a highlight. Shields offer multiple parry types, regular blocks, perfect parries, and the extremely satisfying counter that restores health when timed correctly. Armor progression is solid, and new shield abilities show up often enough to keep builds interesting, even when weapons don't. The map is atmospheric but uneven. Many areas are memorable and visually striking, but some feel oddly placed or disconnected, and a few zones don't have proper map coverage. Even so, exploration remains enjoyable thanks to varied enemies and strong environmental themes. Bosses are where Afterlife truly shines. Most fights are fair, intense, and genuinely memorable, offering some of the standout encounters in the genre. In the end, Death's Gambit Afterlife delivers stylish combat, satisfying progression, and a world full of personality, even if some rough edges hold it back. And that's where we wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed the list. It's a pretty diverse mix, with a lot of different styles and ideas. If any of these games caught your eye, let me know in the comments. And if this video reminded you of a game you'd forgotten about, share that too. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.